but, of course, Sunday law. This is a message that is not really heard that often. Not that necessarily we have those who are trying to purposely hide it or keep from talking about it, but it's just one of those messages that we yet to look forward to see how it's going to unfold. We are indeed today going to be talking about what the Bible and the spirit of prophecy, and of course by the time I got to AFCO, the Amazing Fact Center of Evangelism, where I received my evangelism training, that really amplified it, because when I'm going there, again, I mean, a large portion of the content I was taught was based on Ellen White. Again, not saying it was all Ellen White. It was a large chunk of it was also the Bible. But again, a large percentage of it was Ellen White quotes, Ellen White, comments and things that she had made over the years. And so, it quickly dawned on me and became clear, like, I just need to get on board. Apparently, I'm just not as informed as to the blessing and the incredible, amazing gift that this woman had. And so I started kind of forcing myself into reading more Ellen White.
Greetings, brethren. This is Pastor Casey Ziba. This is a sad time for the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Indeed, this is a very sad time. And I just want to invite you, brethren, that let us pray for this pastor, for Pastor Ryan Day. This is a man who has been preaching powerful sermons at 3 p.m. And I believe that many Adventists have been blessed by his sermons. I believe that there are many people who have joined the Seventh-day Adventist Church because of his labors. But sadly, this is a man that is now turning against the Adventism. Pastor Ryan Day released this YouTube video. But before we look at this video, I just want you to look at his YouTube channel. This channel is called Rethink Adventism. In other words, he is calling people to re-examine Adventism. And in the description, he says, this channel exists to challenge Seventh-day Adventist Christians to think outside the box and re-examine the many elements that make the SDA institution. In other words, he is calling on Adventists. He is challenging Adventists. He is not evangelizing those who are outside the Adventists, but he is calling those who are inside to start doubting the principles that have shaped the Adventist church for all these generations. Brethren, I just want to send this warning to the Adventist church. This movement is gaining traction in the Adventist church of trying to shake the confidence of Adventists in the writings of Ellen G. White. I will talk about this because his main challenge is the ministry of Ellen G. White. 2 days ago, I presented exactly on this subject about why many people are leaving the Seventh-day Adventist Church. You can click on this video link above to watch that presentation. I clearly stated that two fundamentals are driving many, including some pastors, away from the church. And these fundamentals are the 10 Commandments and the ministry of Ellen G. White. You will be surprised that in Revelation chapter 12, verse 17, we find that the dragon was wroth with the woman, that is the church, and he went to make war with the remnant of his seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So, the testimony of Jesus Christ is the spirit of prophets according to Revelation 19 verse 10. So, this is what Ryan Day is now challenging. He says, the content on this channel seeks to identify the errors and challenges within the Seventh-day Adventist religious culture and to provide reasonable and biblical solutions for the Christian claiming the Bible as their only rule of faith. Brethren, there are many things that are happening in the Adventist church that are not okay. But we have our doctrines that have been shaped over a period of time. Remember, when these doctrines were put in place, our pioneers will pray and God will reveal to Ellen G. White in a vision to confirm these findings or these doctrines. Now we have a pastor who is saying he wants to challenge the church to re-examine the many elements or the fundamentals that make Adventism, and he wants to correct errors that are within our Adventist beliefs. Brethren, let me remind you that Jesus set this church, and he says, "Upon this rock I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against the church." It will be difficult for Pastor Ryan Day to try to kick against the pricks. Okay, let us listen to this video. I just want you to listen to this video. If you want to watch more about this video of Pastor Ryan Day, find it on the description of this video. I've also included the link. So listen to what he says about Ellen G. White. There are many issues that he raises, but the crucial issue here is the ministry of Ellen G. White. Sadly, this is the pastor who has been quoting from Ellen G. White in the past, but now he is questioning the ministry of Ellen G. White. I want you to listen to this clip, then I will tell you what is really
the person
happening.
Was sharing Dr. Davis's content, and I hadn't seen him in years, and I knew he wasn't in the church anymore, but that there was, it was interest there, and I thought, I wonder what's going on with this guy. So I watched one of his videos. Now understand, some of you right now are automatically going, that's the mistake you made, Ryan. The enemy opened an opportunity, and you went through that door. You entertained that apostasy, and that's why you're in the situation you're in. But I'll tell you, actually, ultimately, what led me on this journey that I ultimately have been led to at this point was no outside influences. It was actually Ellen White. Ellen White, a quote from Ellen White that appears 2 or 3 times in her writings, is actually what ultimately convinced me to start digging and looking deeper into Ellen White, into some of these doctrinal teachings that I was kind of struggling with. And the quote simply goes, and I'm going to paraphrase it for the moment, and I'll probably in future presentations, I'll pull it up and actually show it to you on the screen. But basically, in a nutshell, she basically says, on 2 or 3 different occasions, she says, the truth loses nothing under close investigation. Are you hearing that? The truth loses nothing under close investigation. In other words, if you investigate deeply into whatever it is you're digging into, and you're prayed up, and you are genuinely asking the Lord to guide you and say, Lord, I just want truth, whatever that may be. I don't care if it's popular. I don't care if it's not popular. I just want to believe truth. When the truth loses nothing, if there's ever a true statement that Ellen White wrote, it's definitely that one, and many others, I'm sure. But that one, the truth, and that stuck with me. The truth loses nothing under close investigation. I'm watching these videos from my good friend Alan Davis, and I'm hearing his testimony. And then I remember I was traveling actually to an evangelistic series, and I had a long, long drive, and I listened to a few of his videos. And actually, I went into it with a critical mind, my critical Adventist mind. My thought going in was, let's see what kind of apostasy this guy's teaching now. Let's see what kind of junk this guy's teaching now. And so I started listening to his videos. But what I found, actually, if I was being completely honest with myself, intellectually honest with myself and with what I'm listening to, I found myself saying, like, man, a lot of the things, not everything, but a lot of the things that he was saying, I was resonating with. Some of the doubts and some of the challenges that he was having and some of the things that he was finding, I was struggling with those too. And it was around this same time, toward the end of 2022, that I was reading Ellen White's writings, and I found even her own quote, "The truth loses nothing at a close investigation." And I decided in the fall of 2022, okay, that's it. I'm going to dig into Ellen White. If she's a prophetess, and you really dig into her, if she's a prophetess, then the truth will lose nothing. The truth will prevail. You will see that through some of the grit, through some of the smoke screens, and through some of the, all of the stuff that many, even of her critics, because from an Adventist perspective, they're going to say her critics are wrong, her critics are teaching falsely against her, they're twisting what she's saying, and I'm not saying that some of them don't. I have read and I've watched some Adventist critics who have done just that. They've twisted, and I'm trying to be fair here, because I understand that there have been people who have taken the writings of Ellen White, they've misused and abused.
Many of those who are leaving the church, they are leaving because they are questioning the role and the ministry of Ellen G. White. This was clearly stated by Ellen G. White in letter 156 of 1903. She says, "One thing is certain, those Seventh-day Adventists who take their stand under Satan's banner will first give up their faith in the warnings and the reproofs contained in the testimonies of God's Spirit." So she says, one thing is certain, those Adventists that are going to take their stand under the banner of Satan, the first thing that they will question, spirit of prophecy. And we are seeing that movement gaining traction inside the Adventist church. Selected Messages, Book 1, page 48, she says, "The very last deception of Satan will be to make of none effect the testimony of the Spirit of God." Notice the words that are being used here. The very last deception of Satan. We are now seeing the very last deception of Satan to make of none effect the testimony of God's Spirit. Imagine, these were given by Ellen G. White. Ellen White was divinely inspired by God, but now the devil is attacking the spirit of prophecy. This is an unprecedented onslaught upon the spirit of prophecy. And let me tell you something. We are yet to see many prominent pastors in the Adventist church coming out and rejecting the spirit of prophecy. Because obviously the devil knows that where there is no vision, the people perish. So it's clear here that Satan will work ingeniously in different ways and through different agencies to unsettle the confidence of God's remnant people in the true testimony. This is the plan of Satan, and let us not be deceived by these agencies of the devil. As we come to the end of time, Ellen White says in the book Great Controversy, she says, "As the storm approaches, a large class who have professed faith in the third angel's message but have not been sanctified through obedience to the truth abandon their position and they join the ranks of the opposition." This is what is happening. We are seeing members of the church leaving the church. We are seeing even pastors who have been preaching the three angels message now joining the ranks of opposition. She says, by uniting with the world and partaking of its spirit, they've come to view matters in nearly the same light, right? And when the test is brought, they are prepared to choose the easy and the popular side. Men of talent and a pleasing address. Understand this. Men of talent and a pleasing address who once rejoiced in the truth employ their powers to deceive and mislead souls. This is what is happening. Men of talent, these are people who have been leading in the front. Now they employ their powers to deceive and mislead souls. I just want to encourage you, Adventists, as you see all these things happening, stand firm. We are on the last mile home. This is the terrible shaking that is happening in the Adventist church. In order for us to be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, we need to pray for the latter rain. We need to study our Bibles. We need to read the spirit of prophecy, because the devil is now on his last day strategies against the remnant people. May the Lord help us, brethren. As we see all these things happening, let us stand firm. Thank you for watching this presentation. This is Pastor K.C. Ziba from the Voice in the Wilderness channel. May God bless you. Amen.